Here I am, 24 years old, professionally unemployed, and getting a lot of snow in my face. I'm in Canada's Yukon Territory. It's late winter, and I'm cycling to the end of the American continent, halfway through my ride around the world. My route would carry me almost 2,000 kilometres north, through one of the world's last great wildernesses, to the Inuit village of Tuktoyaktuk, perched on the shores of the frozen Arctic Ocean. But as a boy from England, this was a long way from anything I knew. On a map of my experiences, it lay somewhere beyond its edges. So I chose a camera as my companion to tell my story, although most of the time I seemed to cycle past it or cycle into it. I spent the first week on small trails that snaked through the Yukon's great wild spaces, my tyres following the century-old footsteps of prospectors, men who, like me, had stood on their own map's edge and wanted to take a peek at what lay beyond. Although generations apart, perhaps we shared that same heady concoction of fear and excitement, that same need to seek Thoreau's tonic of wilderness. I was crossing frozen lakes and rivers for the first time in my life, riding through thick snowy forests, past towering mountains. Each night I lay alone in my tent, listening to the rumbling sound of ice shifting beneath me. And each new day, the creak of my bike and rasping breath would try and break the great white silence that suffocates sound here. It felt like I was living between the pages of a Jack London novel, and all I needed now was to find myself a little log cabin somewhere.
Wow. What a
When you start making more kilometres north, that's when it's going to hit me with the cold, because I'm so inexperienced with it. I mean, rarely ever see snow. So this is all new to me.
I was moving further north now, leaving the old Gold Rush trails behind me and following the Dempster Highway, a gravel road that cuts through mountains and tundra, past the Arctic Circle to the frozen sea that was my finish line. It was cold and desolate here, and, save for the occasional truck or herd of caribou, I was the only soul around. The weather could be extreme. Storms, winds, bitter cold. I couldn't help but be moved by the might of it all. It made me feel very small. When I told friends back home where I was going to cycle, I was often met with, "Why?" I guess it looked to them like a pretty pointless task. But I think it's important to feel small sometimes, to gain that sense of place. And riding north, I realised it was this that was the real purpose in what I was doing. I reached a small hamlet, high above the Arctic Circle, a chance to resupply my food and take a look at a map. Locals told me of a possible route north down the frozen Peel River that would stay open until new snow came. It would be a welcome detour from the Dempster Highway, so I went to find out more.
Go from here all the way down the Peel, and right here you're gonna see it's about miles is 12 miles in mileage. Right here the road goes this way, the ice road. Just follow this road. You go this way, and then you just follow it. You can't go wrong. Right to the end of town, and just keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it's gonna take you right to the river. Yeah, and once you get to the river, you just go.
Before I left town, some guys approached me and told me that a pack of wolves had been spotted on the river a couple of days earlier. I weighed up the risk and decided to continue. It was only going to be a 2-day detour anyway.
Yes!
It was exhilarating riding down the river, the wildest place I'd ever been for sure. But it's funny how emotions can seesaw out here. As the sun began to set, I started to worry about what lay in the woods.
Oh, I'm so scared of this threat of wolves. And I don't know if I'm being completely irrational, but then the only person I can reason with is myself. And I'm just going around in circles, telling myself that it's fine and telling myself that no, I need to be careful. And just over and over again, just can't decide. All I want to do is just share the weight of the decision with someone. But it's just me. Any stupid situation I get myself into, I've got to get myself out of. Oh.
Overnight, I'd become trapped on the river. There'd been a storm forecast for later that week, but it had come early. I hadn't bargained for this. I was 60 kilometres from the town at the end of the river, 60 kilometres from help. A long way to haul my heavy bike through deep snow in Arctic temperatures. I had a day and a half's worth of food left, and I knew that somewhere in the trees there was a pack of wolves, hungry after a long winter. I was becoming trapped in my mind. Fear, hunger, loneliness, they all began to take control.
You do question why I'm doing it. The ups and the downs, when I'm still no happier for it. Oh, man up, Ben.
You see solitude rolled up in your chair. You're never alone. You're never alone. No. You're never home. From your hideout, and you see the lights from afar.
I told myself I'd have a really positive mind today, but when it's as empty as this, I just feel so alone. I don't like this. I don't want to be here. I want to just have that wonderful option of just handing in my ticket and saying, right, that's me done. In a place I've no experience, I've never been, I don't really know where I am. Hey there!
Hello, Nick. Hey, yeah, we found a guy at Husky River. Yeah, it's okay. It's right at the Husky River. It's right at the mouth. Yeah, he's on his way. Yeah, it's not too far from Eddie.
Unknown to me, the village at the end of the river had dispatched their search and rescue, as I'd not been seen since before the storm. They found me just a few kilometres away from the town. The seriousness of my situation was brought home by the gun they carried for the wolves and the body sled they towed behind them. I'd been pushing for 3 days, almost 50 kilometres. Trapped in my own head, romantic solitude had turned into a nightmare of isolation. The same thought had kept repeating itself, that if the worst happens, then nobody, not even my family, know where I am. Travelling solo can be like walking a tightrope. I'd pushed my limits looking for that sense of solitude, that sense of fulfilment, but I'd been knocked off and learnt the full reality of being alone. I can't lie, I was shaken by what I'd been through, more than I think I caught on camera. I was ready to go back home, but I knew that I couldn't. I'd set off over a year ago to cycle around the world, and this was only the end of my second continent. I needed to show myself that I could do it. And so, I found myself waking up one morning on the crust of a frozen ocean, a million miles away from where I thought I'd ever be.
So cold. But this is the last day of cycling. Oh, 60 kilometres to go. And then I'll have hit the Arctic Ocean, the Arctic Sea.
And thought about the lessons this journey had taught me. Maybe I'd proved something to myself by going beyond the edges of my map, that any man who is a man can travel alone.